Monkey D. Dragon hasn't done nothing in the One Piece story. People, including me, predicted he would make his move during Egghead Island, but the funny thing is, Dragon already told us when he would make his move. Yeah, that's right, when they immobilized the Holy Knight. I must admit, One Piece has done it again with the reveal of the strongest Holy Knight, Figureland, Shanks's brother, using the Gorosei magic circle through the help of Figureland, Garling, Shanks' father, newly appointed Gorosei. I personally feel that Dragon will have to either pull up to Elbaf or take on Imu himself in an epic clash. But let's highlight how Oda wants to put Dragon in the forefront by analyzing his moments after Wano. But before I do that, there's actually breaking news that helps my video. And you know the funny thing is, I already made this video before the breaking news happened, but it helps the video. It's an Ichiro Oda quote that just came out recently, and this is the quote. "And now the original story has finally arrived in Elbaf. It's a laid-back country, but the arrival of a certain man shatters its tranquility. Meanwhile, strange events are unfolding in other seas too. That man is finally starting to shake up the world. Take a deep breath because you might not be able to catch it anymore. Please super look forward to One Piece next year too." Now, when I read this that came out recently, this is before I even made this video, guys. I'm actually adding it into the video because it helps my video. But yeah, he definitely is talking about Monkey D. Dragon shaking the world. And of course, the man that of course arrives to Elbaf has to be Shanks' brother that we just seen in the last chapter. So all I'm telling you guys right now is Oda just said that he's not playing around with Elbaf. Just like how Egghead Island was crazy, fast-paced, and legendary, Elbaf's gonna have that craziness as well around the other seas. And that's why I feel like he could be hinting at Dragon confronting Imu before actually Dragon coming to Elbaf. But there is a strong case of Dragon coming to Elbaf because there's one person that I look forward to Dragon clashing with before Imu, and that's actually Dragon's son, Monkey D. Luffy, my favorite character. So let's actually get into this deep dive. Egghead Island starts off with VaP Punk letting Dragon know he will die, and Dragon's reaction is, "Don't play around." And we start to understand how important Vegapunk and Dragon's relationship is. Like, Ichiro Oda definitely did not want us to miss on that during this arc. And if you think about it, this is kind of an arc where Oda is secretly building up Dragon for some craziness, and people are not understanding that the same way Oda is building up Shanks during Elbaf and Egghead Island as well, Oda's doing it with the Dragon too, slowly and slowly. And I'm going to show this by analyzing after Wano some key moments. First of all, Dragon knew Old Man Clover. Of course, Old Man Clover used to roam the seas, but he says just propaganda of him trying to take over the end the world. And then of course, Vegapunk recently revealed Clover was a Wheel of D member. So Dragon has to know a lot of information when it comes to the lore of One Piece. And I always wonder, because Dragon always seems like he doesn't want to say much. So someone who doesn't want to say much, they say knows a lot. You ever hear the Dunderkruger effect? One who knows nothing knows everything. Yeah, do your research on that. Do your homework on that. That's a really key thing when it comes to Monkey D. Dragon. And I found it interesting during the moment of pretty much Dragon paying his respect to Ohara and Vegapunk meeting him there. Vegapunk said to Dragon when he went on a whole rant about how this Ohara incident is making him want to pretty much get an army and go to war. Vegapunk's like, I thought you hated war, showing that Vegapunk knows Dragon deep down to his core. And the fact that he knows this trait about Dragon is interesting. The fact that Dragon hates war, but we have this dark energy from the Ohara incident, and this Dragon in general, like in Logtown, and Dragon looks like he has a very cold, dark energy for a man who hates war. It's like something changed him, a traumatic event. I feel like Oda is slowly breaking down the character of Dragon. We also see the anger of Dragon's father, GARP, when finding out that Dragon became a revolutionary. I wonder if we will ever learn of this father-son relationship, knowing of course that GARP is the hero of the Marines and Dragon is the most wanted man trying to go directly against the world government. Yeah, that is definitely some craziness bound to happen. And I think that Dragon and GARP, not really a fight, but more of an argument. I feel like there has to be an argument between these two, not out of hate, but out of love when it comes to going different directions. The same way that GARP and Luffy had their confrontation when, of course, trying to save Ace, and GARP was in front of Luffy. It definitely hit the feels in the anime, and I think if we see a moment like that in the manga and anime, it will hit the feels as well. When Dragon spoke of the 8 countries revolting, and Ivankov said 7, don't forget Lucia vanished, it showed how he could, in a sense, when it comes to bringing world peace, be very calculated and logical. And because of this, it shows that he's not really showing a lot of emotion, because everyone knows that when you bring the truth and logic and calculations and all that, you definitely become cold. And of course, emotions definitely be hurt. But I still think he's a very emotional character when it comes to why he actually made the revolutionary, because of course the Ohara incident was the last straw. That's an emotional decision. That's not a logical decision. And Dragon's whole goal is based off emotions. He's one of those rare characters who can balance emotions and logic at the same time, and I gotta respect it. Dragon said Cobra was a just king, but the truth doesn't matter when it comes to, of course, everyone thinking Sabo killed him. And he said it's good for the eyes of the people, and Sabo says he likes it as well this way. And Dragon says, I like this attitude. Perception is reality, and Dragon and Sabo are understanding that even though they know Cobra's innocent and he's a great guy, they feel like if it helps the movement, there's no problem in it. And it shows that Dragon and Sabo have that coldness to them because of what they're fighting. As a pirate, you're just having fun. Obviously you have some dark moments, but you're just going on an adventure. And you see, revolutionaries are not really about that. It's more of a coldness because they're trying to change the unjust of the world. You know how much things that Sabo and Dragon have seen when going around and trying to save people and help people? They are the heroes of the world that, of course, Luffy does by accident. They're intentionally doing it. So when you're intentionally being a hero, you're going to see some of the darkest sides of humanity. Kuma asked Dragon how he knows how to use weapons, and of course this confirmed that Dragon used to be a marine, but he said he couldn't find any justice there. And with Dragon being, of course, the same age as around Akainu and Kizaru, and seeing that Akainu and Kizaru argument at the end of Egghead Island, Oda, you did an amazing job with that, because Kizaru's crying and says, have you ever killed your best friend or something? And we all know Akainu didn't actually kill. That's kind of like a hint at Akainu not killing Aokiji, his best friend. I think Aokiji and Akainu had a good relationship. And then of course, we have to look at the whole situation of when Aokiji highlighted Akainu's last words to him during their battle. Yeah, definitely Akainu and Aokiji were close. And then I want to talk about pretty much when it comes to, we recently got GARP's moniker, My Justice. And we all know the animals all have their own justice, but GARP justice being called My Justice is the closest thing of going against any justice. But you know what the funny thing is? I think the reason why Dragon couldn't find any justice in the Marine is because his justice is the opposite of actually GARP's justice. Dragon's justice, in my opinion, is their justice, the people's justice, which is why he left the Navy, because you can't find any justice of your own when your justice is the people's. And honestly, it's a very, very interesting topic. I might make a more, deep analysis on justice itself. But before I do that, let's get this video out the way. Dragon told Kuma you won't regret it when it comes to, of course, helping out the cause of the revolutionaries. And we have to understand, Kuma's life was actually shit. Like, after joining the revolutionaries, like, he lost his girl. He lost himself in a sense. He lost himself for Bonnie. Of course, his life just went down the drain once he joined the revolutionaries. Yes, they saved him from the prison they were in, but yeah, I feel like Dragon has to snap when he jumps into action, because you promised that Kuma wouldn't regret it. And honestly, yeah, the whole Nika stuff in Egghead Island is good because they really want to see that, of course, the Warrior of Liberation. But I truly believe Dragon has to do something crazy for that statement to hold just when it comes to telling Kuma you won't regret it, because his life is dog shit, guys. I'm not even lying, yo. Kuma's life is so sad. Though I do like when Dragon tells Kuma, go where the winds take you, my friend. And of course, Dragon said this after helping Kuma cure Bonnie by letting him know about VaP Punk switching laboratories, and it's the perfect time to catch him because he's not really a very, easy guy to catch. And of course, Kuma said, I will fight by your side again. And that's when he mentions the whole go with the wind where the wind takes you, my friend. But it also could be a hint at his Delver ability. He used the wind in Logtown, he used the wind in Goa Kingdom, and it looks like Dragon has some sort of wind power with that statement. I'll be honest with you guys. A wind Delver would be crazy. That would be one of the craziest Logias, because we obviously we've seen some crazy Logias. Of course, recently Greenbow's Logia is pretty interesting. Blackbeard's Logia of Yami Yami no Mi. Of course, Kizaru and Egghead Island is intense. But what if we see the Logia of wind? And that could be crazy when it comes to seeing that interact with, of course, Akainu's magma. Yeah, a lot of hype. Dragon pretty much told Kuma to kill him because a child is a parent's weak spot, which, in my opinion, this is Dragon pretty much telling Kuma that we're gonna have to throw hands, so you better be ready to kill me because I will not go easy on you for even mentioning that I have a child. Because that's how much Dragon cares about Luffy. And we already knew Dragon cared about Luffy when he went to go see him at Lockdown. Like, what kind of leader of revolutionaries goes all the way to see his son at Lockdown once finding out his bounty poster? Yeah, I know people make the jokes about how he left him. He went to the milk to get grocery store. He went to the grocery store to get milk, and the whole situation of course, didn't want to hear Koala and Sabo even hear about talk about Luffy and whatnot. But no. Dragon loves Luffy. That's why you saw him talking about Luffy after Enies lobby and how Luffy's the direction he goes and whatnot, and where he finds his justice in a sense. Even though he's a pirate, I know it sounds crazy, but you get me where I'm going with this. So yeah, I thought that was very cool to see Dragon actually show the greatest love he had for Luffy in this moment, saying, "I will kill you, even though you're one of my best friends. I'll kill you, Kuma." I loved it. Dragon said, "I'm sure he has his reasons for keeping us in the dark when it comes to Kuma's Warlord position during Kuma's flashback." And I thought that was always very interesting to see how Dragon moves. He's very patient. He's not very reactionary. A lot of people would look at this as treason and definitely try to go confront Kuma for, of course, not telling them shit. Even in the real world, a lot of times when like friends or families or just close people in general don't tell you something, a lot of the first reaction is, oh, they're going against me. Maybe they're not really going against you, but maybe they more so have your back in a sense, and they know they have to keep you in the dark to actually protect you from what truly could destroy you. I don't know, maybe I'm going too deep with it, but you get what I mean. And I thought it was cool how Kuma said that Luffy had excellent friends when it comes to, of course, seeing Zoro take the sacrifice for Luffy. And this, of course, is showing how he's pretty much saying it makes sense that Luffy has excellent friends because he is Dragon's son. And of course, Dragon definitely brought a lot of great people with him when it comes to the Revolutionary Army. And of course, the fact that he used to be part of the Marines, I think Dragon definitely has some friends in the Marines that we can definitely look at too. And maybe what Kizaru's hinting at is not the Aokiji being his best friend that he didn't kill. What if this is the craziest shock plot twist? What if Dragon was actually Akaino's best friend? That would be crazy. Now, of course, we also know that Robin and Saul had their moment in Elbaf. So, how to say this? It would be cool to see Luffy and Dragon have a moment in Elbaf. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. Then, of course, Dragon is curious where Kuma would go. And, of course, the funny thing is we didn't see Dragon in Egghead Island. But it looks like he's wondering where Kuma is going. And if he finds out after seeing that Kuma is now in Elbaf, I wouldn't be shocked if Dragon comes to Elbaf. Now he knows where Kuma is. He was wondering where Kuma would go. Now he knows where Kuma is. Maybe he makes his move and comes to Elbaf. And we got Holy Knights there. Come on, guys. Of course, we see when Vegapunk's message is starting, Dragon thinks back on their convo with Shaka, of course, or aka Vegapunk's one of Vegapunk's parts of him, and revolving around Vegapunk's death. Of course, we know Vegapunk's message is triggered on his death, so definitely Dragon is seeing the patterns of, oh, that's why Vegapunk was actually talking to me about his death. And now we see the Vegapunk message. Pretty deep stuff. And then, of course, we see that Dragon has no reaction to, of course, the biggest shock of all, the world, the actual true world being in the ocean, because of the events of the voice entry, and of course, till this current day. I thought that was cool that Dragon had no reaction. It's like Dragon knows things, but he doesn't know things. Like, it looks like Dragon knows things, but he doesn't know how he knows. It looks like he's very intuitive. That's what I'm getting from his reaction. And I thought it was cool how Oda added in one of the most iconic panels in One Piece history, chapter 1121, Dragon and Sabo when it comes to claiming the One Piece, with the hidden swordsman that looks like Shanks' twin that we just saw in the recent chapter, and of course Gorosei Figureline Garling as well. Yeah, the war begins now, and Oda is putting a stamp on it when it comes to Elbaf. I love it. And it was cool how Bello Betty, one of Dragon's, of course, commanders, says we can't allow the Pirate King to do what they're going to do once they find, of course, the One Piece. They might, of course, use the ancient weapons and ruin the world, continue ruining the world and sinking the world. Then Dragon says, many will act out of self-interest, not peace. We must hurry, achieve victory for our cause before the people will kill each other for land. And then, of course, Dragon might not only go against Marines, but pirates, mainly Luffy, who becomes Pirate King. We already know that scuffle on Baltico when it comes to Blackbeard, but if Luffy and Dragon get into it, that will be crazy because of Sabo, and then of course the whole relationship with Luffy, Dragon, GARP. I can keep going. I can go crazy with this. Now the last thing I want to talk about is, of course, Dragon coming to Elbaf. See, if Dragon comes to Elbaf, the cool thing is seeing the White Warrior. We know Kumas spoke of this Warrior of Liberation, the dragon and the hero and everything. Seeing his son being of course, the person who's actually going to change the world would be cool. We know Dragon has a specific tattoo. We might get some information on that when it comes to the Owl Library. Dragon coming to Elbaf is a good thing. Then Robin there as well. We know she has a relationship with Dragon as well. So yeah, and then Clover and stuff. Like Dragon has a lot of information, and Dragon just is very powerful. So him coming to Elbaf is a W. Then of course, we also have to talk about this aspect of it. It would be cool to see Dragon throw hands against anybody at this point. Maybe Luffy, maybe fighting Shanks' Holy Knight brother. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I feel like this will definitely be something that will mess with Luffy's mind. Seeing, of course, his role model Shanks, who he thinks is Shanks, actually isn't Shanks, going against Dragon, who supposedly comes out of nowhere and says, "I'm your father." That will be crazy, and I think we'll be expecting some epic mind manipulation in Elbaf. It'll be very legendary. Oda is not going to sleep in this arc.